Dear colleagues, can I ask you to please take your seats so that we can start our session? Good afternoon. On behalf of Sheikh Haya, it is my honor to preside the session of our committee, and I would like to start by passing the floor to Madam Rossler, who will make some announcements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to have you here on the podium. I would like just to verify that you have in front of you those texts we announced before closing the morning session. The text on Lahore and the text on the Historic Center in Uzbekistan, which came out of the working group. I see Azerbaijan nodding, so Madam Chair, this is all okay.
My dear colleagues, as decided this morning, we will now examine the state of conservation of Piriin National Park in Bulgaria. I therefore give the floor to the delegation of Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations on assuming the post of the chair. First of all, I would like to thank you for this opportunity to express our position on the item concerning the Piriin National Park World Heritage property. We would like to express our most sincere gratitude for the work done by the World Heritage Center and the IUCN in preparing the draft decision and its supporting documents. We welcomed with satisfaction the fact that the advisory mission that was envisaged in our previous decision has been carried out successfully. We consider that the decision reflects a position which differs from the previous decisions of the committee. However, we do not find some circumstances justifying the current draft of the decision, and the text of the decision, in our view, entails some commitments which are hardly feasible. The state party, Bulgaria, has always strictly conformed to the committee's decision and has not allowed the construction of these key sport facilities within the property. Currently, there is no change of the circumstances leading to adoption of a decision by the committee inconsistent with the already adopted ones. Following the decision from the 40th session of the committee, a screening procedure of the new MP has been performed and resulted in decision that a full strategic environmental assessment is not needed. This decision is currently subject to judicial review, and the result of the procedure depends on the outcomes of the court case. In this line, we do not find as appropriate that the committee would comment and make references to court decisions which are even not final and not yet in force. We believe that the property is not threatened by activities of the state party, and we hereby request the decision on this draft decision to be open. With this in mind, my delegation proposed some amendments to the draft decision, and I'm very pleased to say that these draft amendments were negotiated and agreed with the IUCN. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I would now invite IUCN to respond to this comment. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. IUCN and the World Heritage Centre have had a meeting with the State Party of Bulgaria earlier this week. During this meeting, the State Party provided further information and clarification regarding the current situation of ski facilities in the buffer zone of the property and the interventions planned to address overcrowding. Assurances were provided that such interventions were of a limited nature aimed at upgrading existing infrastructure to better service demand. IUCN welcomes the clarifications provided by the State Party and the assurances given that a strategic environmental assessment will be undertaken at the stage of spatial development planning. In that regard, IUCN notes the amendments proposed to the draft decision, in particular the request in paragraph 5 for the State Party to ensure that maintenance, upgrades or increases in capacity of ski infrastructure in the buffer zone will not impact on the outstanding universal value of the property. IUCN would like to bring to the committee's attention that the sub-paragraphs under paragraph 6 as amended include an important but subtle distinction between the current management plan as amended and the proposed new plan. IUCN consider that both these plans need to be guided by strategic planning and adequate environmental impact assessment through the established procedures as advised by the State Party of Bulgaria. The language under paragraph 6 therefore accommodates this distinction. In the view of IUCN and the World Heritage Centre, the new management plan is the appropriate place to outline the long-term vision for the property, clear prescriptions on the limitations and conditions under which developments may be allowed in the buffer zone, and the necessary safeguards to protect OUV. Madam Chair, as noted in the proposed amendments to the draft decision, the December 2017 changes to the current management plan now do not prohibit the construction of water catchment facilities within the property. In this regard, IUCN welcomes again the assurances provided by the State Party during our meeting here in Bahrain that such facilities only concern the provision of drinking water. However, as these could be located within the property, IUCN recommends that the committee request the State Party to provide further precision regarding their potential extent, location and impacts. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your report. I open now the floor for comments from delegations, and I can see that Bosnia has requested the floor, so you have the floor, Bosnia. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to express the position of Bosnia and Herzegovina of the item concerning Piri National Park World Heritage Property. We would like to express our support to the amendments of draft decision proposed by Azerbaijan and also co-sponsored by us. It appears that the draft decision contains some inconsistencies with previous decision adopted. The decision further imposes of the State Party commitments which are currently subject to judicial review. In this respect, we don't find it appropriate the decision to comment and to refer to court rulings which are not final and not in force. We also think that there is no change in the circumstances and, respectively, there are no grounds for examination of the property every year. Moreover, the court proceedings are still pending. It is fully enough the State Party to provide a progress report to the World Heritage Centre with adapted information of the results from the court proceedings as proposed in the amendments. Hereby, we request the decision to be amended. Thank you.
As I thank you for your comments, I would like to pass the floor to the distinguished delegate of Indonesia. Please have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Indonesia would like to comment on the work that has been taken by the advisory bodies and note the recommendations conveyed to the State Party Bulgaria. We would also like to commend the efforts taken by the State Party to conserve the OUV of Piri National Park. We should keep in mind, however, that in addition to the obligation of the State Party to conserve the OUV, there are certain development activities on the side that is unavoidable. Taking this into account, we are of the view that it is acceptable for the State Party to replace and increase the capacity of skiing infrastructure. This measure is necessary in order to keep the flow of tourists on the site under control, which in the end will have positive impact on the OUV of the property. We would also encourage the State Party to continue working together with the advisory bodies and expedite the finalization of new management plan for the property that includes the strategic environmental assessment in order for both sides to have a clear guidance in conserving the property. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to the distinguished representative of China. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In our opinion, the original draft decision reflects a position which differs from the previous decision of the World Heritage Committee, in particular decision 36.7b.18 from the 36th session in St. Petersburg, and several decisions from the following session, which allow further development of the buffer zone. As far as we are informed, the State Party of Bulgaria has always strictly followed the decisions of the committee. We consider that there is no change in the circumstances at the field leading to the adoption of the new decision, not corresponding to the already adopted position of the committee regarding the property and the buffer zone. Therefore, China fully supports and co-signed the amendments submitted by Azerbaijan and other state parties. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kuwait, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also, the delegation of Kuwait supported the submission draft amendment by Azerbaijan and other parties for a simple reason. We believe the report is mainly based on the decisions that has not been taken yet, which is the court decision, which is a focal point of the issue. So we think until that issue resolve, we accept or we support the Azerbaijan amendment, and we also appreciate the advisory board for their continuous dialogue and communication with the state party. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much. I would now pass the floor to Hungary. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The World Heritage Committee on its 36th session took note of the conclusion of the World Heritage Center and IUCN monitoring mission back in 2011 that the capacity upgrades of ski facilities undertaken in the buffer zone of the Piriin National Park did not appear to have negatively impacted the outstanding universal value of the property. On the other hand, the committee, at its same decision, requested the state party to ensure developments in the buffer zone were assessed to make sure that they do not create negative impacts on the property. In the view of the Hungarian delegation, these two requirements of the 2011 committee decision are sufficiently met by the amended and consolidated draft decision. Hungary also would like to underline that the possible impacts of any infrastructure development project within the World Heritage property should be evaluated by a detailed environmental impact assessment, as well as by appropriate assessment procedures as requested by Article 6 of the Habitats Directive of the European Union, taking into account the fact that the entire World Heritage property, including its buffer zone, is part of the Natura 2000 ecological network of the European Union, and also that the outstanding universal value of the property largely overlaps with natural processes, ecosystems, habitats and species protected by the Habitats and Birds Directive. Furthermore, we strongly encourage the state party to implement these legal procedures through open and independently mediated communication process in which all the stakeholders, governmental, non-governmental organizations and local communities of the state party are involved. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would now ask for the comments of Australia. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Australia acknowledges the work of Azerbaijan to develop amendments to the draft decision, and we would like to foreshadow our intention to propose some additional minor amendments with the intent of clarifying the amendments to the draft decision proposed by Azerbaijan.
Thank you very much. I pass the floor to the delegation of Burkina Faso. Please, you have the floor.
Yes. Merci.
Thank you, Chair. Considering the SOC report for Piriin National Park in Bulgaria, which was inscribed on the list back in 1983 under criteria 7, 8 and 9, we see that the documentation is in the report. We encourage the state party to get into contact and work closely with the centre and IUCN. They need to provide a CEA, a complete CEA, which will show us very clearly the impact that any future developments could have in the buffer zone, and therefore the impact this could have on OUV. In order to carry out these works and to have better conservation of this area, the state will need the necessary means and thorough analysis through these studies of the impacts. We need to make sure that reasonable time limits are allowed to the state party. Notably, we should allow the state party to have until 2020 to submit these reports. 9 countries, therefore, support the amendments to the draft decision made by Azerbaijan and the other countries. Thank you.
I would like now to pass the floor to the delegation of Zimbabwe. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to say that Zimbabwe is one of the co-sponsors of this draft resolution introduced by Azerbaijan, and we would like to commend the state party and IUCN for the dialogue and constructive dialogue that they have had in order to align the new draft decision with the recommendations of the 36th session of the committee, as well as not to preempt the administrative court judgment, which is still to be made. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to pass the floor to the delegation of Cuba. Please.
Thank you, Chair. Cuba is grateful for the information that has been given to us regarding this draft decision. We believe it's very important to have this communication between the advisory bodies and the states parties, and therefore we are supporting these amendments to the draft decision, which allow to give a resounding response in order to solve the current issues. Thank you.
Yes. I would like now to pass the floor to Angola. Por favor, Angola, tenha a palavra.
You have the floor, Angola. Thank you, Chair. Angola has taken note of the dialogue that has been established between the advisory bodies and the state party. And we have also taken note of the fact that there are perhaps certain bottlenecks when it comes to taking certain decisions in the countries, which depend on the judicial system in the country. We know that sometimes legal proceedings can take time. Therefore, we would like the state to be allowed sufficient time in order to overcome some of these hurdles, so that it can then meet the requirements of with regards to the recommendations made by the advisory bodies. Therefore, we support the amendment that has been put forward by Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Muito obrigada. I pass the floor now to this delegation of Uganda. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Uganda urges the state party of Bulgaria to balance any proposals of skiing developments with the OUVs of this heritage property, and to undertake a strategic environment assessment of the draft management plan with respect to the original draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have now as the last speaker the delegation of Tunisia. Thank you.
Merci, Madame. Thank you, Chair. Tunisia, which is one of the co-sponsors of this amendment, would like to show how happy it is that the advisory body and the state party have been in communication, and that has led to some very fruitful results. However, we do need to be sensitive to the impact of our decisions, notably the applicability of our decisions. When there are legal proceedings in place within the state party, I believe that we need to be aware of this and sensitive to this, so that our decisions can be as consistent as possible. Indeed, it's for this reason that we wish for this amendment to be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would now pass the floor to our rapporteur, since we have one proposal of a minor amendment by the delegation of Australia. So you could please take the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So, as it was noted, we had received a set of amendments that you can see on the screen, submitted by Azerbaijan, Cuba, Burkina Faso, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Zimbabwe, China, Tanzania, Brazil, Tunisia, Kuwait, and Angola. As it was noted during the discussion, this is a text that has been negotiated with IUCN, who themselves has negotiated with the State Party and with the World Heritage Center. I believe you have all received these amendments in advance, but we have heard during the discussion that the delegation of Australia might make some small amendments to these proposed amendments. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
As I believe all the other delegations are in agreement with the text negotiated, maybe I consult you, maybe Australia could just introduce the proposal of amendment they have to make, and the other countries would kindly say whether they are in agreement with it or not. Thank you. Australia, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So our first proposed amendment is to clarify the fact that there are actually two court decisions, one which applies to the current management plan and one which applies to the new management plan. And it's our understanding that the court decision regarding the new management plan for the property is not yet available. So our suggestion is for 6A to add the clause at the end. So it currently reads, implement the Supreme Administrative Court's final decision regarding the SEA procedure for the new management plan of the property when it becomes available. And 17 amendments to the current management plan as a matter of priority. And then the rest of the of 6B stands.
Read it slowly again so that I can get it. Just need to say it slowly again.
Okay, so I'll repeat that. So 6B starts, ensure that an SEA will be undertaken for the spatial planning based on the December 2017 amendments to the current management plan as a matter of priority. Stop. as a matter of priority. Yes, and then the rest of it. Pardon? And then delete upon the spatial development planning based on the December 2017 amendments, because that's been covered in the earlier clause. So I'll just repeat it, that 6B reads, ensure that an SEA will be undertaken for the spatial planning based on the December 2017 amendments to the current management plan as a matter of priority. And then this SEA will include. And then delete, so will include a specific assessment of potential impacts on the Is that right? That's correct. Okay, so I think that's correct. And now 6D starts, once the results of the decision of the Supreme Administrative Court concerning the SEA for the new management plan become available. And then the rest stands.
Thank you. Are there any objections to the amendments proposed by Australia? Azerbaijan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We thank the delegation of Australia for this amendment, and we have no objection. Thank you.
Uganda, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me also add my voice to Azerbaijan to thank the delegation of Australia. This amendment, as proposed by Australia, is very much in line with the contribution we earlier made. So we support in total. I thank you.
Since there are no more comments, I think we can and we shall declare draft decision 42, 7B.72 adopt and amended and adopted. It is adopted. Thank you. I would like now to pass the floor to the observer who has requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for
I'm so
us
sorry. Sorry, I made a mistake by inexperience. I understand the state party would like to take the floor. I'm sorry, I haven't seen this. Thank you so much, and I ask your understanding to this fact. Thank you.
Thank you. Dear Madam Chair, dear members of the World Heritage Committee, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, always we take this opportunity to express our appreciation to the World Heritage Center and IUCN, thank you, for their support in the protection and sustainable development of the World Heritage sites in Bulgaria. On behalf of Bulgarian government and on behalf of myself, I would like to express satisfaction from the adopted decision and the consensus achieved. This would help to find the way out of the issue accumulated for years. We need balance between the protection of the outstanding universal value of Piriin National Park and the sustainable development for the existing for decades ski zone. The state party has always given priority to the protection of the OUV, of the Bulgarian World Heritage properties, and to all ecological challenges. This position will remain unchanged and consistent in the future. We would like to express gratitude to all state parties which give us their support for this decision, despite of today's cyber attack. In conclusion, we would like to assure you that all the actions of the Bulgarian government will continue to be focused on the overall protection of Piriin World Heritage. We would like to wish success to this forum and also invite all of you to Piriin National Park. Thus, you will have the opportunity to witness the unique nature of the property and visit the ski zone. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your intervention. I would now like to pass the floor to the observer who has requested it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving us the floor. I was lucky to go to Piriin when I was only 7 years old, and nowadays I take my son. Piriin is home of centuries-old forest under timeless limestone peaks. The Băicușeva Mura, a 13th century-old Bosnian pine tree, is the oldest on the Balkan Peninsula. You wonder what stories it could tell you for the past millennium. Piriin is part of the national anthem, and the name is chanted in hundreds of traditional songs. The Piriin case is simple. It all comes down to clear-cutting century-old forests to build ski runs. In the year 2000, NGOs warned about upcoming construction of a ski zone. 10 years later, the World Heritage Committee excluded 2 ski zones from the property because, I quote, "The property has been repeatedly and significantly impacted by the development of ski facilities and ski runs. Whoever doesn't learn from history is meant to repeat it." All this is not in support of the local people. The current ski zone in Bansko town has not prevented population reduction, decrease of property value, seasonal employment, and continuous state subsidizing. The draft management plan and the amendments to the current plan of Piriin stirred an unprecedented reaction. This revised draft decision will fail the thousands of people from 50 cities in Bulgaria and abroad who have been protesting in the streets to save Piriin in freezing temperatures this winter. The draft decision is now revised beyond recognition. If we fail to save Piriin with its protection on national, European and global level, how can we succeed anywhere else? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We are now moving to the discussion of the archaeological site of Carthage, and I would like to pass the floor to Mrs. Nada Al-Hassan. I understand you have the floor now. Please make your presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Apologies for the slight delay. I will now present the archaeological site of Carthage in Tunisia, another magnificent site. The SOC report for the archaeological site of Carthage is found in document 7B add, page 59 in English and also page 59 in French. The archaeological site of Carthage faces a number of challenges relative to land issues, reclassification and declassification of certain archaeological areas within the property, the absence of boundaries and buffer zone. The management plan of the site, known as the protection